Will you, Antoine, take Arians as your wife for as long as you both shall live?
So what I typically do is, for this wedding, it's kind of like different, but how I went about it. I actually had discussions with chat before the wedding. So I had some pointers, I had some stuff that I needed to shoot, just to, make sure when I come back to edit, I have everything I need. So chat pretty much has a history of the project. So it was easy to just, write some prompt and it would understand and be able to give me the right response from the history that I had fed it. So yeah, let me show you how to do this. I hope you can see my screen. I really hope you can see my screen because I'm doing this with OBS. But if not, I mean you're gonna be able to hear me. So typically I would go in the chat and just let chat know, hey, I'm working on the music I'm working on a wedding reel, you know, from wedding I just shot. I would tell it what I want, the kind of music that I want. Sometimes I could just do something like what I have here is write a Suno prompt. Suno, by the way, is the AI platform that I generate music from. So I had already sent it the first prompt, and then he wrote a prompt for Suno for me to paste on Suno to generate the music that I need for the edit, right? And then apparently what I got wasn't good enough, and then I fed it the next prompt, which says the Suno music still doesn't have enough punch. The beginning starts too calmly, considering we need a viral hook. You can see the response here. He says, you are right. The track needs a code, open attack, and blah, 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 blah. And then he gave me the next prompt. So what I did was copy this prompt and then went over to Suno. I'm just trying to make this quick as possible. So this is Suno opened here. I don't know if you can see my screen, but hopefully I hope this works. So I went over to Suno. So I would just go and just paste it here and click on create. Of course, you want to click instrumental because I always work with instrumental for the most part. So I just click on create and then it'll generate the music and I'll listen to it. And the good thing is, which I think is an advantage for me, being a music producer and having been around music for a long time, as an editor as well, being able to combine, these two art, I feel like I have an advantage when it comes to knowing what really works, from watching a lot of movies, from being a musician, from editing and all that stuff. So I'm able to know, okay, what works, what would work for this, what wouldn't work. So now I got the music. Let's say I got what I want, and I'm okay with whatever music that Suno generates for me from the prompt that I was given by ChatGPT. What I do is just go in, I create a new project, and then I bring my music to the timeline, and that's the music right here. I'm just gonna play this music and now, this is real, of course. I'm editing on a so the frame size is different. So this is vertical because of course this is going to be real posted on Instagram. So typically when I have this music here on the timeline, what I want to do is because I like to cut to the beat because I feel like it's more impactful when you cut to the beat. I mean, you don't have to cut every single edit to the beat, but again, from experience, it's part of what drives the edit. What makes it more interesting is you cut the beat as much as you possibly can or as much as it is needed. Again, like I say, sometimes this thing just comes naturally. I know when I should cut to the beat or just let it flow without considering where the beat drops or whatever. Well, as a rule of thumb, what I usually do is once I have my song here, I just right click on it and I just click on show music beat. So this doesn't have it. So this is how it'll come typically. I just right click and show music beat. And now you can see all these lines, for the most part, are exactly where there's a hit or there's a beat drop or there's some type of change or something happening. I mean, is it 100% accurate? Maybe not. But of course, it kind of makes the job easier for me. For where the beat works, I just know, okay, where to drag my footage to. And you know, At least 80% of the time it works. If you play this, you see that snap, finger snap that you hear on the beat happens right here. So if I decide to want to cut this shot at that spot, it's just easy for me to do because of course there's a marker right there that tells me where the beat drop is. So I went in, all the footage that I need is here. I mean, knowing what to, knowing what footage to start with, knowing what to, what footage to put at certain places and stuff, that comes from years of experience, years of editing and stuff. And this is where you get creative. This is where, I mean, for me personally, this is one of the part of editing that you can't fully explain. Maybe if you have a better way to explain this, yeah, I'd really appreciate if you can post that in the comment. But of course, this is really something you can't explain, but you just feel it. You just know, okay, this is the shot that I think I should use for this part. But again, as a rule of thumb, when you're editing something like a reel, you have to be thinking this in the first 3 seconds. How do I keep these people hooked up? How do I keep people who would see this video hooked up? That's why I'm pretty sure that's where the word hook came from. So your video always, you want to make sure your video has a hook, because when people see the first second of your video, you want to keep them locked in and not just scroll away to the next, right? So that's what's in my mind that I'm thinking. And I'm going back to chat. I'm asking chat, hey, what would be a good hook for this edit? What would be a good hook for this? Sometimes I would screenshot frames of the video and send to ChatGPT to kind of analyze the different frames, what he thinks would be a nice frame to start with. And I even go as far as, letting it recommend what frames would be nice to create the thumbnail with. Because again, at the end of the day, I feel like chat has some data that we don't have. Is it 100% correct every time? No. That's why you have your human brain, because of course, relying totally on AI is just it's just not wise. So you have your own brain. So AI is just a tool that you're kind of collaborating with. You want to always make sure that you still get to vet whatever he says, whatever he tells you, whatever he shows to you. So again, I'm bouncing off my idea, my intuition, and also what AI is telling me works based on the data, right? So with that, I'm able to come back in and say, hey, okay, I think this shot would be okay to start with. We're good to start with. Again, would I always be right? Even sometimes collaborating with AI still turns out not being right. So just get used to it. Just understand how it works. So these tools are just there to make our work better, and hopefully we get the best out of it at the end of the day. So that's just the purpose of the whole AI everything, right? So it's working for me so far. I think it's good. So I would generally just get my hook. Once I have my hook established, every other thing just kind of like complements what I have at the first 3 seconds. Again, this is a real, I'm not really telling a story like you will. But again, I'm also thinking, okay, what do I want them to see? If I'm trying to create suspense, what shots do it better, right? So I have a couple of shots here. I mean, for this is not, it's not playing well in real time because I didn't create any proxies for these files. But again, if this were to play so smoothly, you understand what I'm saying more. I mean, much understand what I'm saying better. So yeah. So right at this shot, for instance, now I'm telling you about some creative ideas that I did with this. Now this is shot. I could literally just let the music play and then you see this shot. But again, just to create some just to drive some feeling, just to make you feel like you're right in there, like right in the scene. What I did was actually let the the noise of the waterfall, the water from the waterfall fountain come through. So that's the sound you would hear right here. At first, so I did like an, oh, let me unmute it. I did like an Ellen J cut. So before you see the shot, you can hear the water. You hear the water while they're still holding hands in the shot. And then when you see them, eventually see them, you can still hear the water, but then again, you don't see it till almost the last frame, and then it comes in. I don't know. It just makes me feel some type of way. And that's, I mean, these are one of the ways which I decide what to use and what to put in an edit. For me personally, it just makes me feel some type of way I can't explain. And I just generally feel like because I'm human and a bunch of y'all out there and are humans, you will feel the same thing that I'm feeling, hopefully. So I just put it in there, right? We're all just, I mean, experimenting as editors. We just experiment, and sometimes all these things work because we do them over and over and over again. So what I do, I let that play, let that play, looks good to me. And then there's a boom, boom, boom. You heard that? Boom, boom, boom. The next shots that came in, I synchronized it with that beat drop, those beat drops over there. Bum, bum, bum. See, this is where my music IQ comes in. Golly, I don't know why this is not playing smoothly, but yeah, you get the idea. I would cut to the beat. Bum, 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 bum. That's 3 cuts right there. Bum, bum, bum. So typically I would make the cuts. Like I said, the markers that we have on here didn't quite match up with the exact beat drop, beat hits that we have on us on the song. But again, I'll just mark it myself. I'll play it and just stop it right where the beat comes in, and I'll mark it and then put my cuts, align my cuts to those points. So that's how I typically do it. And then I went to black, so deep to black, because again, I wanted to introduce or reveal my logo. So this is Films by Roy. Bam. And then it went back to black. Right? So it'll show you, bam, that's the man behind the magic. And then bam, went to black. Bam, I introduced the water fountain again. When I introduced it, you could hear the sound of the water as well coming in. Sound of water coming through. Sorry guys, man. I don't know why this thing is not playing well for me in real time. Yeah, I guess the quality of the file is just so much for my computer to handle. I apologize, but I hope you get the idea. So the sound comes in, the sound of water comes in, and then bam, there's a cross dissolve that introduces the couple walking slow-mo while you still hear the sound of the water. So this is all L and J cut that I'm doing here. You hear the sound before you see what's actually making the sound, and then the sound, a new shot comes in while you still hear the sound in the background, and then the sound, slightly fades out. These are the things that makes, editing interesting, drive some emotions when you edit. Bam, right in, and further down, all these all these shots, I made most of these shots to the cut. And it's something interesting, from the beat that I generated in Suno had some type of sound, almost like there's a cheering effect on the beat. I'm like, well, I didn't say that. I didn't tell it that, but might as well use that to my advantage. So what I did was I pulled up a shot where the guests, the bridal party, they were all cheering as the couple that were coming in for the reception. And I was like, man, this would just be nice to have this shot here. And I put the shot here, and then you can see the couple again cheering, their hands up and stuff. Bam, as the sound, as that cheering was kind of like dying off, I revealed the couple again, having a good time. And then almost kissing. And there's a type of effect that happens at the end. Boom, 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 boom. I did a speed ramp to match up with that beat, with the beat right there, and bam, and that worked. So this is just editing, man. I'm editing to the beat. I'm editing to the sound because I feel like visuals and sound should go together. I mean, that's it. This is just a short one. I apologize I couldn't play it in real time, but I'm gonna put the video at the intro or the end of this, so you can see the full video and understand all the things I've been talking about. And this is how we edit. This is just a short one. I'll be able to do something more elaborate so you see every single step all the way what I do, as far as putting the pieces together. And hopefully we all get to learn from each other. If you have anything to say, you can leave a comment, and let me know what you can do better, what you think I can do better. All right. See you on the next one. Have a blessed one, y'all.